Thank you for tuning in to Samuel Taps Online. I hope you are ready to learn from a previous question paper of 2023 November. And I just want to take this opportunity and thank everyone who subscribed to this channel. If you haven't subscribed, click subscribe so that you don't miss out on the next episodes. Thank you. Enjoy.
Now the question that we are working on now, the first one says 8.1, retrieve the spreadsheet saved as cases in the computer practice info folder. The spreadsheet has been opened on my screen, and then when we look at 8.2, it says save the spreadsheet as question 8. So I'm just going to save the spreadsheet now in my folder as question 8. So obviously we'll just have to click file, save as, and then I'm going to choose my location of saving my folders or my files, and then I will have to specify the name that I'm going to give this file. So I have to save this as question 8. So as I type question 8, then I can save it. And then when we look here on the screen, the next question is 8.3 that says as a header, key in your examination number left aligned and question 8 right aligned. So I'm just going to make sure that I activate the header and the footer by going to insert, and then I'm going to look on the right hand side there, header and footer. I click it, and then you can see that my spreadsheet now will activate both the header and the footer as well. So because now the question said I must insert everything in the header, I will just look as to which side of the header, and I see now it says the examination number must be on the left. So here on the left hand side, this is where you type your own ID number, but in my case I will just say examination number, but it must be an ID number in the exam. And then on the right hand side it will be question 8. So when I click there on the right, then I can type question 8. And then now continuing to 8.4, it says make all the changes as indicated on the spreadsheet. So make all the changes as indicated on the spreadsheet, meaning that we are going to look on the question paper as to what changes are we going to make. So as displayed here on the screen, you can see that we have to make changes according to the spreadsheet that we see here, so that our spreadsheet looks exactly as this one. Then we can continue doing other things after that. So as you see here, the first thing that we have to change is the heading, and then we're going to have new empty rows after the heading, and then we're going to insert other missing text and so on. So now if you are looking at the question paper and you're also watching this video, so it will be better, because when I change, you are also referring to the question paper as well. So now what I'm going to do on my spreadsheet, I'm going to click view, and then I'm going to click normal. So by doing this, then it means I'm returning back to my original spreadsheet, and my header is always available to display when I print. So now I'm going to focus on the changes that I have to make. So the first thing that I have to make is to change the heading tuberculosis cases. When I click there, you can see that on the name box there it shows tuberculosis cases, which is the one that is in A1, the text that is in A1. So this text must be meshed and centered across A and F. So I'm going to click inside A and drag to highlight up until F, and then now I can click home, and then I can click merge and center. So you see that it moves to be centered, but only across A to F. That is what they said on the instructions. And then now this heading, obviously the font will be changing, and then we are going to also insert a new row below it and continuing from there. So now let's look at the instructions as to how is the heading going to change, because after we meshed and centered, we can see that our heading is no longer the same font. It has to change to be a different font. So on the instructions here, they are saying that we have to make sure that the heading is going to be Algerian 18 PT, and then we have to underline them. So now the first heading that we just merged and centered here, I'm just going to click it, and there it says Arial. I'm looking for Algerian. I can just start to type and say Algerian. You can see it comes. When I press enter, it changes the font where I've selected to be Algerian, and then I'm going to change it to 18. After clicking 18 here, you can see it's increasing the font size, and then I can also put underline by clicking there. Okay, so meaning that all my headings will be like that. Okay, but now when we look here, when we check here, the second heading is a global 5-year review, but before it there must be an empty row. So meaning I can right click on two and click insert. A new row will come on top. That is how you insert a new row. And then also above 2016-2020, I right click on 2016-2020 and click insert. A new row will come between a global 5-year review and 2016 to 2020. Then the same thing that I've done to this heading here, then I will have to do also to a global 5-year review and also to 2016 to 2020. So this one, because it's merged and centered, you can see that we have to put it as left align according to the instructions. So I click it and I click left, and then I highlight here from A up until F, and then I'm going to merge and center this one, and then I want the font to be the same as that one. So what happens if you have the same font appearing again? You can click on the first one that you did and go to this format painter and click on the second heading so that it takes the style of the first font and the font size. Okay, so now because this one must be centered, then we can click there so that it becomes centered. Okay, and then the last one also have the same font and the same font size, and then we are going to make it right align. So meaning that I can just click here first, then I go to format painter, and then I click 2016 to 2020, and then now I will have to click right align. So now that is the difference between these three headings, as it's left, center and right. And then when we check our instructions, we can see that after this there's an empty row. After 2016 to 2020 there must be an empty row, so meaning that above row 6 I must have an empty row. So I'm going to right click on row 6 and click insert, then an empty row will come between 2016 to 2020 and my column headings like year and number of female patients and so on. Now when we check again on our spreadsheet that we are referring from, we can see that we have a column that is before year, which is statistics. That must say statistics. So here there must be a text appearing that says statistics. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to start by making sure that from there, row 7 up until row 12, I have everything merged. So I can just go and highlight like this and go and click merge, meaning that now I have it appearing as if it's one column. And then after doing that, I can make sure that the text that I'm going to type will appear to be rotated vertically, so meaning that it must be read going up, just like we have seen on the instructions. So what I do there, I can go to text direction under home. There is text direction, click it, and then you can see that we have where it says rotate text up, then I click it. So meaning that whatever I type here will be read going up. So let's click there like I did now and type statistics. So after typing statistics, when I click outside, you can see that statistics now is typed going up. The direction is going up. So the text is typed going up, as we can see here and observe from this side. And then now what happens is that we have to edit this text so that it doesn't only show the rotation going up, but we also have to ensure that the font is different. Like we have to make it bold and italic, and also ensure that it's vertically and horizontally aligned. So I'm going to click there, and then I'm going to click it to make sure that it's centered, and then it's centered in between again, and then I'm going to make it bold, and then also to ensure that it's italic, I click there, and then I'm going to make sure that it's vertically and horizontally centered. So meaning that now when it's like that, then we have to make sure that it is in the middle. You can see now here it's actually below. Okay, so when I click so that it can be centered there, you can see that now it's in the middle of the whole merged and centered cell or group of cells. And then now the next thing that we can observe is that we had to make sure that all these headings here are going to be wrap text, so meaning that they must be in the middle of the cells, and they must also be shaded. According to the instructions, we must apply a gray shade, and then we must also center vertically and horizontally, and we must wrap text. So wrap text meaning that these column headings will be on top of each other, like number of male patients, number of female patients will be below, and the number of will be on top. So what I do now, I can start with the first one. Like we can see the number of female, just to make you understand. When I click on number of female, because I want to wrap it, I will go to wrap text there under home, and then after clicking there, I will have to go to the column where number of female is, which is column C. In the middle of column C and D, I will just drag a little bit back until I reach at the end of female, because patients must go below. So when I stop there, you can see it says number of female patients, which is now taking the other text to be below. So I can just increase a little bit, and then you see that it says number of female patients now is below. Then I can go now and make it centered, you see. So that is how it appears on the instructions. So all the text must be wrapped according to the way they appear. So I will go to the second one as well, wrap text, and then reduce the column a little bit so that patients will be below, and then I will say center. So I will do the same on percentage female patients, click, and then wrap text, and then I will decrease a little bit until female patients is centered. It's at the bottom. So you see now this one is bigger, meaning that now because it's a long text, we just have to adjust again until we see that everything is visible, and then now I can make it centered as well. Percentage male patients, click again, wrap text, and then I can reduce after wrap text so that something can go below the other one. So I will just go up until I see male there, and then male will be like that, going at the bottom. Male patients is at the bottom. Adjust again a little bit to be bigger, and then now I can center it. So now you see all these headings here, they are appearing just like that. I just have to make sure that they are all now centered, top, middle, and then also centered across all cells. So now after doing that, I will have to apply a gray shading. So shading, you find it under home there, under font group. You will see there where there is a shading fill color, then I click there. So I'm going to apply a gray shading like I did just now. So after applying a gray shading, we can see that we have to ensure that we have borders around our text, across our text, and then we are going to apply thick borders around our text as we see them. So it's not all borders, we have to ensure that it's borders which are going to be around and borders which are going to be vertically and also horizontally at the bottom where we see total there. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to ensure that I go to the borders there under home, and then go down to more borders so that I can be able to specify what type of border I want. So this is the border that I'm looking for. So first thing to start with, the first thing that I can do is to highlight everywhere where I need my borders to appear. So I need my borders to surround all where I've highlighted according to the indication on the question paper. So what I can do, click home like I did now, on the borders icon there, scroll down until I see more borders, and then I'm going to click the thick border and put it to be around my selection. So this represents what I've highlighted. So after doing this, then I can click OK, meaning that everything that I've highlighted, it's going to be surrounded by a thick border. So if I click outside, you can see there's a thick border there. So this means that this is the type of border I've chosen for my borders or lines to appear. So now what I can do, I can go to the drop down and take a draw border pencil to draw the borders across my spreadsheet the way I see them appearing. So this is all the borders that must be visible, and then I'm going to draw a border line there just like this to separate the text that will be coming there. So now there's a border also just below the headings. There's a thick border here that must go across like this, just like that. So this is how you use a pencil to draw borders. So now, since we need a thick border around everywhere where I've drawn just now, so I can just highlight so that you understand where the border must be changed. I need a thick border just below my headings like I've drawn it. So I can just highlight like this and go to the borders icon there. Then I can go to more borders, and then remember this represents what I have highlighted. So I want a thick border around where I've highlighted. So I can click here, click OK. So clicking outside, you can see what happened. So I have a thick border there. So I want a thick border here as well as borders going down. So what I can do, I can highlight everything there. Okay, then now when I go to the borders icon, more borders, then this represents what I've highlighted. So meaning that when I click this thick border and put it here, these are horizontal borders going down everywhere where I have highlighted. Then when I click here, this is the borders, represents the borders that are going across where I've highlighted, I mean at the bottom of my highlighting. Okay, so when I click OK to show you what happened, you can see that all the borders which are thick going down, they are indicated there. So I need a border at the bottom there, which is going to be a horizontal, double horizontal, a border on top of my highlighting and also below my highlighting, which is a thick border as well. So I'm just going to click there, drop down, more borders, and then I'm going to choose a thick border, top of my highlighting, bottom of my highlighting, left and also right hand side of my highlighting. So I'm just going to click OK there. Now you can see that just after total there, I just need a thick border as well there. So I can click here. So I need a thick border around where I've clicked now, because I need a thick border just after the word total. So I can just go there again, more borders, and then I can just take a thick border and put it there and click OK. So now that is why now at the end of everything, you can see that everything is surrounded by thick borders where I was highlighting. So now I need a thick border again to separate my headings. So I can highlight all the headings and then drop down on the borders and then go to more borders and then take a thick one and click here, horizontal border. So just by putting one line here, it represents all the lines that will go across to separate all the headings that I had that side. Then when I click OK, you can see that all my headings are separated by a thick border. Simple as that. So that is how you are applying the borders as indicated on your question paper. Now this bold, the total must be bold and right aligned. So I'm going to click it, make it bold, and change the alignment to be right, just like that. And then now the text is already given here, you can see, meaning that we are going to do calculations here later on. So now I just have to verify that my spreadsheet is complete with all the indicated changes that were supposed to be done. So now I see that there is a picture that must come at the bottom as indicated here on the question paper. They say insert image globe from the computer practice info folder, change only the height to 4 centimeter, and then position left incorrect rows. So meaning that here in row 21 there, from the row 21 here, at the bottom there I have to insert a picture. So but if you check the text that I retrieved, you have empty rows which are not supposed to be there, because total ends in row 13, and then 14 it's actually an empty row that you must have before you have a highest number of female patients in row 15. So now, meaning that row 15 which is empty, and row 16 which is empty, they must be deleted. I'm going to highlight them together and click delete, meaning that now in row 15, that is when we have highest number of female patients. And then now when we look at the instruction there, you can see that the picture is going to start on row 21. Now there on row 21, that is when we can start to put our picture there. So what you can do now is just to put your cell selector there on row 21, and then I'm going to go to insert pictures. After clicking pictures here, then I can go to find a picture under my folder, globe, there it is, click insert, then it will come to appear on my spreadsheet. So they said we must change only the picture's height to be 4 centimeters. So I'm just going to click here on the picture, and then you go to format there on the tools. On the right hand side you will see height. Then when I click height there, I can just type 4 and then press enter on the keyboard, so meaning that the height will change automatically just by doing that. So you can see that the picture has also changed in terms of the size. And then now you will just have to check if everything will be fitting on one page by going to file and then clicking print once to see how your spreadsheet is going to be appearing on the preview. So this is how your spreadsheet is appearing on the preview without the other information that we are still going to type. So now when I go back again with that arrow, looking at my spreadsheet, now I have to insert the text and the numbers that are supposed to be there. So just to verify the year, we have 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019 and 2020. So now we just have to insert all the figures under each and every column. So for the first one we have 14,500. I have typed it like that, and then we have 12,500. that is the second one. The third one we have 11,000, and then we have 13,000, and then the last one now we have 15,000 typed. And then now on number of male patients we have 26,000. First one. Second one we have 24,000 typed. We have 23,000 as the third one typed, and then we have 24,000 appearing for the second time, and then the last one we have 27,000. Now you can see that it's a mistake that I did, so meaning that all these must be on top here. You can just drag it there, and then make sure that my borders are accurate. So in case if this will be a good lesson, how do you remove a mistake on the border that you have inserted there? You can go to where you found the borders initially and go to erase border, so that you can erase borders that came by mistake, and then double click somewhere to drop that eraser and draw the borders nicely or insert them again. So I need a border here. I will go there again, then I will go to more borders, and then thick border. I need it on the left, right. Then when I click OK, you can see that the border is there. I just have to put it at the bottom as well, and then I also to separate my columns. So I will go there again to borders, and then more borders. I will just have to take thick border there, and then take a border and put it like that again on my highlighting. Click OK, then the border is back again. So now you can see that the text that I've typed is all the numbers are there under the text that are actually supposed to be my headings, and then the numbers are appearing there accurately. So, and then this is when now we are going to do calculations. We have a calculation that must come here, we have another calculation there, we have a calculation there, and then we have calculations that must come there. All right, so now when you look on the instructions in the question paper, it says to us that we now, after making changes, we have to insert the following functions or formulas where the letters of the alphabet appear to do the following calculations, and then we must also use cell references for all calculations where possible. And then the first one is A is there. I'm going back to my spreadsheet now. We can see that this is A, and then it says that calculate all the totals. So we have to calculate all the totals. It says display total figures in column C and D as integer with no decimals. So calculating all the totals, now we are going to use equals to sum, and then opening the bracket. Now I can highlight all the range of cells above sum, close bracket, enter, and then now I can click on the answer that I have there. Then when you see there's an autofill button. When I put my mouse, it changes to a plus sign. Click and hold and drag to the right like that, and then now it autofills other columns with the answers that must come as totals. So we have the second answer appearing and the other saying 0 because there's nothing currently above them. All right, so that is how we're supposed to calculate A. And then now when we look at B says we have to calculate by determining a percentage of female patients. So this is where B must come. So we have to get the percentage of female patients. It gives us a hint by saying that we have to do it by number of female patients divided by a total number of female patients. So we are going to click and divide. So meaning that the first thing that you must do is to put your cursor where the calculation must come, and then you look at the instruction. The instruction says number of female patients. So number of female patients, you are going to start by saying equals to, and you click the first number only of female patients, so which is C8. Obviously that is where it's coming from. Just when I click there, it will give me a cell reference. C8 divided by total number of female patients. So divided by, it's a slash like this, and then total number of that column, clicking that one. So when I click that one, because it's not on the same row where I started, I have to press F4 on the keyboard. That is absolute cell reference that they mentioned that I must use it where possible. So I press enter. So it's 22% for the first one. Then I have to autofill, going down so that I can automatically calculate the others, and then it will give me percentages for the others as you see them appearing there. So when you autofill where there are borders, the border will also follow, so meaning that I have to remove the lines there that are not supposed to be. So I can go to borders again, take an eraser and click on the lines, that must disappear, and double click somewhere else so that the eraser can disappear as well. So that is how you get a percentage of a column. And then for C, there is C. Now when we check the instruction for C, it says that we have to get a percentage of male patients by number of male patients divided by the total number of male patients. So the same thing that we did, but now we are doing for male. So equals to, and then we are going to say number of male patients, click, and then we are going to divide by total number of male patients, click, and then we press F4 on the keyboard so that it changes to be like dollar signs like that. Press enter, and then now we can autofill like this, and then now you see that the borders also come. We know what to do. We just have to take an eraser, click on the lines that we don't need, because autofill also brings the lines. This avoids a case whereby you lose marks for accuracy if you leave those lines. So double click somewhere else again outside, so that you are being able, you get an opportunity to click somewhere else where you can calculate without an eraser disturbing you. Okay, so now this total here must not be 1, and this must not be 1. It must also be a percentage, and obviously there must be 100 here and 100 there. So when you click here, you are going to change it to be a percentage by going there and just changing it to be a percentage with no decimals. So we are going to decrease the decimal by going to this and clicking decrease, click until you see 100 only. Even here, click there, change it there to be percentage like I'm doing now, and click to reduce, and then now we have 100. Then you can know that it's accurate. If you don't have 100 as a total of percentages, then you must know that something is wrong. Right, so we have calculated A, B and C, and then now we are going to D, where we are going to determine the highest number of female patients. And then when we check there, it must be under column percentage of female patients there. That is where we do our calculations. So we are doing D, where we are going to calculate highest number of female patients. We are going to say equals to max, because that is the function for determining highest number of female patients. Then I can now open the bracket and look for female patients, highest number of female patients. Then I go there to number of female patients and highlight them, because they didn't say percentage, they didn't say highest percentage, it's highest number of female patients. So number of female patients, all of them, I include them in this function, and close the bracket and press enter, and then it will tell me that the highest is 15,000. And then now there, the second one now says lowest number of male patients is equals to mean for minimum, but we write it as mean, open bracket. So we are going to look for number of male patients. Number of male patients, there it is, the whole range, close bracket, enter. The lowest number is 23,000. And then now average number of male patients equals to average. So average is the one that you write in full. Average number of female patients. Female patients, we highlight everything there, and then close bracket, enter. Now you can see that after saying enter there, my answer appears, and then I have the average appearing as 13,200. So 13,200 is the average number of female patients. The next one says average number of male patients. We're going to say equals to average again, and then saying average, I'm going. So when the bracket is open like that, after we said equals to average, now we are going to highlight the range of male patients. So I'm going to go to male patients there, highlight the whole range, close, and then press enter. So it gives me 24,800 as the average of male patients. The last one says number of years. So number of years, we can see them there. So you can't count them and say 1 2 3 4 5 and then you want to type it, because at the end of the print out you will still need to show the formulas when the question comes for this, for such. So I'm just going to say equals to count. Count is a function that will count for you. Open bracket, highlight all the years, close the bracket and press enter. It will give you the answer as 5, coming from a function, not coming from the keyboard. So you don't type any answer, you give it a function so that it can calculate for you. That is how you do all these things. So what we were doing now, we were doing number H, because we did A up until H, and then you just make sure that everything is accurate. You have all the answers like I have them now, and then they are going to tell you that you have to adjust your columns, obviously, to ensure that everything is appearing clearly on the spreadsheet. So as we scroll up to check, our heading is clear, and then our work is clear, and our columns are clearly displayed. And then when we check our spreadsheet, that the one that we have changed, we have to make sure that the border lines are accurate, because now you see that the calculations that we did, there are lines that are missing here to separate my answer. So I can just highlight there and go to borders again, so that I can put thick borders to separate those answers. So thick border there and there, so meaning that horizontal lines will appear now. You can see now they are there, appearing there where they are supposed to be. So now it's accurate, and then the answers are showing there, my picture is there. Then if I go to file so that I can see how it prints, and then the preview will show me that this is how my printout will come out. So that is how you are supposed to do question number 8 on Microsoft Excel from the question paper of November Computer Practice N4 2023. Thank you for watching. I hope you have learned. Enjoy.